Identify myself as black because my father is black.
Were you raised with your father?
No, I was raised with my mom.
And your mom is white?
Yes.
So why would you identify yourself with black just because your dad's black if you was raised with your mom?
Because my mom told me that I should always identify myself as what my father is.
I would say I just identify myself as being African American, but at the beginning, when I was younger, I used to erase everything and put mixed, and I used to get in trouble by my teachers. And they would always say, why are you putting mixed on there? You're either, black, or you're black, basically. And so I would have to say, back then I would say mixed, but now I understand that I kind of have to just say African American because that's what society breaks it down to.
Black, to be honest, because that's the side that I grew up with, so.
I identify myself with black and white because my parents, well, my mom is mixed, half and half, she's black and white. My grandparents, that's white.
Basically, I'm multiracial, so I don't just choose one race. I just say I'm mixed, or I would mark 3 things on whatever the choices were, or I just say other.
I identify myself as being black the most. Why? For the simple fact, being around my white family so much, I feel like I don't have as much of a touch with my black side of the family. Later on in my adult years, I have been more in touch with them than I have with my white side of the family.
I'm mixed. I'm not going to answer black no way. Okay, I'm multiracial.
Multiracial?
Yeah.
Do you hang with one race more than the other?
I mean, growing up on the south side, you ain't got no choice but to hang out with one. So I consider myself black. Okay. If you put me in a category.
I identify myself as black.
See, if you have a biracial kid, you need to take my advice. Coming from a half black, half white household, you need to take my advice. From the perspective of a mixed human being with a mixed child myself, I'm talking specifically black and white. For other races, I can't speak on it because I'm not in your shoes. But if this resonates, it resonates. But for all those who are having mixed kids, let me tell you what you're doing to this child that you're bringing into this world. You are giving this child a set of DNA that is very, very complex. Because inside this DNA, this child has ancestors that are coming from different sides of space. And this child has the responsibility to unite these ancestors within him. And this is a very, very hard task to do. So the number one thing you need to do to make sure your mixed biracial child is psychologically sound, you need to make sure that child is touched into or tapped into their roots. If you're a black dad with a white wife, with a white baby mama, you need to make sure your biracial child has a black woman and a white man in the family that they can talk to and speak to regularly. Yeah, so this child has a chance to understand what's going on inside his own DNA. This child has perspectives that no other person that's just black or just white can ever comprehend. Because these are internal conflictions and internal demons that are mad, basically, that are struggling to communicate within. And so most biracial kids who never have the perspective to get to know their roots on all sides, who don't have guidance from blacks and whites, feminine and masculine, for both, you know what I'm saying? For those who struggle and don't get that, you're going to have a really rough time trying to stand true in your identity. Stand in your own truth. Because you're lacking genetic information. So make sure you don't miss out or make your biracial kid miss out because you being too arrogant. You think you can control or you think you can dominate a human that's running a very, very difficult script of DNA. Not many can embody their spirits and all of their roots in this lifetime because their parents failed to set them up for success when it comes to their own internal understanding. But this is what you sign up for when you mix races. You can either create a very gifted child who has genetic abilities that come from all sides of their families, or you can create a very confused child that gets bullied by both sides just for being themselves. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, y'all take it easy. See,
my mom was a racist white woman, and she hated black people, which is crazy because look at me, guys. I'm black. I'm black. And when I tell you, she used to ask me all the time why I didn't have blonde hair, blue eyes, and light skin. I'm like, Mom, you're the one who ended up with the black man. Why are you asking me why I'm not light-skinned? Like, you should be asking yourself why I'm not light-skinned, okay? And throughout most embarrassing thing, throughout elementary school, through almost like beginning of high school, I would tell people I wasn't black because my mom was like determined and brainwashed me to believe that I wasn't black. So embarrassing. Why did people even talk to me? Like I was adamant I was not black. And when they would ask me, I'd be like, well, I'm not black. I don't know what you mean. And they're like, what the fuck do you think I mean? So embarrassing.
I don't know what mixed baby needs to hear this, but it's okay if you drop your white mom. It is. There are so many white mothers who sit here and they have mixed babies and then they literally destroy us. My mom, ever since I was little, has been calling black women disgusting and loud and dirty and arrogant and ghetto. And for some reason, she fails to realize that I am the same woman that she is talking about. She fails to realize that there's no difference between us. The only difference is the slightly lighter complexion. That's it. Y'all sit here as white women and you have black and brown and Asian children, and then you literally talk about us like we can't hear you. You talk about how we're disgusting and how we leech off the government and how we're not even from America and how we don't even need to have protests for things because everyone's created equal in the first place, but then you date white supremacists and bring them into our own fucking houses. And you expect us to be comfortable. You expect us to be comfortable with your husbands that wear Trump hats. You expect us to be happy and accepting that you want to go out for shots of tequila and make fun of every man in the room and say, I bet his name is Juan. I don't find that funny. I don't find the joke in that. To make fun of everybody's fucking race except your kid because you, for some reason, have the capacity to think that they're different, to think that they are you, when they have never been a part of you in the fucking first place. I don't get it. I don't get how y'all can pretend that your kids don't hear you and then be absolutely baffled when they finally do and they finally don't want to be around you. So for the kids that have grown up in environments in the exact same that I have, I don't care if you're afraid of not having parents. I'm afraid of having a parent that can't even see who I am when I'm looking them right in the face. And the fact that I don't even have a parent that knows who I am, it's pretty much like having none anyways.
Purposes is an African. I don't play biraciality. If your mother is black or your father is black, you're African because there is no 50-50 mix. The African is genetically dominant. We're not superior to no one, but we are genetically dominant. So that's an African child. I don't get into that. But working with biracial children, they go through a lot of psychological conflicts because you're half black and half white. You belong to the two most adversarial, dichotomous races on the planet, and you constantly have to navigate where you belong at. Even if you speak to biracial brothers in the hip hop industry, as swaggerlicious as they can be, When you sit down and have a conversation with a lot of them, they will tell you about the conflicts they had along the way arriving at their African identity. And a lot of this.
Love this comment. Mixed people are not accepted by the white or black community when they can accept themselves first. Having that self-acceptance and that awareness and that confidence to just be yourself and to not be worried about being in a certain category or being accepted by other people is the number one way to just have that security and to know you don't need that external validation to feel good about yourself. Where I feel like it gets a little bit tough is when you are young and you are growing up and you're raised by a black mother or a black father as a mixed interracial couple, and the parent doesn't communicate with the child early on about being black and being white and what that looks like and moving through the world and having that self-confidence and self-acceptance first. And so because of that, as you get older, if that was never really dealt with, then you bring that into your adulthood. And obviously it's your responsibility as adult to deal with any childhood traumas or situations that were then brought into your adulthood, which then created some type of insecurity or lack of confidence. So I think the self-acceptance and the self-identity is most important, but I feel like that starts at a really young age. I feel like the community and your parents have a large role in helping you to understand where your identity lies and teaching you how to cope and how to figure that out for yourself. Unfortunately, I think what we see a lot is that that conversation is never really had. And so because of that, this child is growing up not sure of where to be because I feel like society tries to place mixed people into one category or the other. So love this comment. That's my take. I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Calling all my biracial angels to the front of the room. Hi, I'm Kiana, aka Dr. Stobble, and I have a PhD in clinical psychology, and I'm also biracial. A big part of the dissertation that I just wrote had to do with looking at biracial identity. A lot of biracial people report struggling to find a sense of belonging and community. For example, if you're someone who's black and white like myself, you might feel like, oh, I've never been white enough for the white community or black enough for the black community. And when looking at this from an attachment perspective, because I'm also an attachment researcher, this is very concerning because a lot of people have reported feeling this otherness even within their own family. An even more alarming statistic is that those who are biracial are more likely to engage in non-suicidal self-injury than someone who is monoracial. And when I say monoracial, I'm referring to people who identify with a singular racial category like black or white. There's also a lot of strengths to having a biracial identity. In previous studies, biracial people have said that they feel a greater sense of uniqueness, that they have access to complex perspective. They're able to see things from multiple points of view because of their unique social positioning. And in my dissertation study, biracial people were not more likely to report higher levels of depression than people of other races. So my fellow biracial BBs, is any of this surprising? Does this sound like it represents your experience? Let me know.
And this is going against the law, statutes, and commandments, not abiding by the law, statutes, and commandments. This is what it trickles down to. First of all, do you hear the confusion in the midst of all these biracial adults talking about how it was in their childhood years and growing up, how they struggle with identity, acceptance, identity crisis, not knowing where they belong, which side of the family they belong to, being raised by racist white parents, white mothers, that essentially have a disdain for so-called black women, like I said in my last video, not realizing that that child you just spit out is gonna grow up to look just like that so-called black woman. And this is what I talk about. That's how you know the Most High is not in the midst of interracial marriages, because it's confusion. It's pure confusion. They are conflicted within their spirit, because you have to understand, Israelites have a pure spirit. We had a spirit of the Most High. Europeans do not. They got the spirit of the devil. Like the Most High say, what was made crooked cannot be made straight. How can you take something holy and mix it with something that's foul and defiled and unholy and then call that thing beautiful? And I don't mean to step on any toes or hurt any feelings with any of the biracials that identify as Israelites, but it is what it is. The Most High made it very plain to not mix with these heathen nations. It causes so many problems. And we can go into the Bible and read, it was the mixed multitude that went a whoring first. It was the mixed multitude that broke the commandments first. Go and read about it. I'm just saying, the Most High make it very clear. Do not mix with the heathen. It's for many other reasons, not just idolatry and worshiping idols, but look what is causing to the children that y'all are bringing into this world. But that's a whole nother conversation that I really believe y'all not even ready for. If y'all into that still, repent and keep the law, statutes, and commandments. And any of the children that's growing up struggling to identify where they fit in at, the only thing I can say to you, pray to the Most High, because a lot of biracial people I encounter with, their spirits is off. They off. There's something off about them, and I know what it is. It's because they got that evil spirit from their mother, or that evil spirit from their father, from the heathen side of them. You see? And there was a video I was looking for, and I'm gonna keep trying to find it, but there was an Edomite woman talking about, no, you're not black, to her child. You are me. And we have customs, we have traditions, and this is what we believe in. And see, and that's what I'm talking about. The mother, it's our duties to raise our children up, right? Even if you have an Israelite father, your mother, 9 times out of 10, your mother raised you. And guess what? She raised you according to her ideologies, her indoctrinations, her idols, her traditions, her culture, and everything else, which goes totally against the law, statutes, and commandments in God's word. That's the point that I'm making. So tune in, family. Tell me what's y'all viewpoints on this, because this should not happen. I know in the book of Nehemiah, he got so mad at the mixed multitude children because what? Because they could not speak in the Hebrew tongue. They didn't even know their native tongue. They couldn't speak their native language, their Hebrew language. But they was able to speak the heathenish language. Think about that. All right, shalom.